Christ or Iglesia ni Cristo.
Afternoon and good evening, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to INCRadio on another beautiful weekend. I am Taylor Joy Lagpagan from the local congregation of Temecula Valley.
I am Jan Tracy Camacho from the local congregation of North San Diego.
And you are tuned into INCRadio
San Diego.
Thank you for joining us for our show today. In case you didn't know, we're going to be talking about a more informative and more insightful topic today. We're going to be talking about the post with the most.
Post with the most?
Yes.
What does that even mean?
This is all about social media usage.
Something we all use.
Yes, it's everywhere in the world that we live in now. So we think it's very important that we all are on the same page on how we can use it to benefit ourselves and to get the most out of it. Yes. So before we get into all of that good stuff, be sure to like and subscribe to the INCRadio YouTube channel if you haven't already done so, and share this link to view our show with your friends and family so they can join us and also benefit from our topic.
How else can they participate in our show, Taylor?
Through our hashtag challenge.
Exactly. Here's the hashtags. They're on the screen right now. And remember, you can comment as many times as you want, but you can only leave one hashtag per comment. How many hashtags per comment?
Uno.
Just one.
Please, yes.
And then is there somebody we would like to thank for participating in an activity yesterday?
Yes, we want to thank actually all of you because we know so many of you tuned into INC Media Live for our collaboration. Yes, it was San Diego County X INC Media Live. X meaning what? Collab? That's what the youngsters
That's what the
use
kids say these days.
Yes. So it was a very fun show. Shout out to Lorraine.
Yes, for representing us.
Yes, who's part of our tech team today. So thank you for joining us, and we hope that you stay tuned throughout our entire show. Like we mentioned, we have a great topic coming up, and we do have a very special in-studio guest, two guests actually, who are going to be joining us for this discussion. So hope you enjoy. But without further ado, Tracy, I think it's time we jump into the post with the most.
Yes, I'm so excited to find out what we're going to learn today.
Yes. Okay, before we start our discussion, we are going to invite our in-studio guest to join us. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming the one and only Brother Brian Berling. Hello, Brother Brian.
Hello.
Hey.
Very happy to be here.
Yes, we're happy to have you here, all in our blue.
Right.
Our different shades of blue today.
Not feeling blue at all.
No.
for being here.
Quite opposite, actually. Yes. So, Brother Brian, we've had you on radio before. You are a very familiar face to us. But for anyone who's tuning in who has not had the pleasure of meeting you yet, would you like to introduce yourself?
So I am Brian Berling, serve a few different roles here within the Ecclesiastical District of San Diego County, California. I am a choir leader in one of our local congregations. I am also our district Buklod president, Buklod being the organization that takes care of the married couples and parents throughout the district. But I guess for the purpose of today's discussions, the role that is probably most, relevant is my professional role as a chief operating officer, overseeing pretty much every aspect of the company that I'm with.
Sounds like a very important role.
One might think so.
Yeah, I think a lot
in
of us think so. Yes. Well, very impressive, and I can't think of a better guest to have on the show than you to talk to us a little bit about social media. So before we start our discussion with you, Tracy, would you like to ask anything to our live chat?
Yes, for our viewers in the live chat, we'd like to ask you a chat question. What do you use social media for? Is it A, to keep in touch, B, to meet new people, C, entertainment, or D, you can just let us know and we'll read your comments as they're coming in later.
Yes, social media, it has become so popular, especially for our generation. So I'm curious to see how people are using it these days.
I do a little bit of everything.
Right, and I would agree as well. And while everybody answers that question, Brother Brian, we were wondering, is it true that social media activity can affect your company, can affect you professionally, and or can even impact your employer?
Absolutely can. One of the things that kind of goes unseen very often is how our social media behavior, the face that we put out there publicly, can affect us professionally, sometimes, and in a lot of cases, even before you are hired by a company. So companies out there have a certain vibe that they want to put out, far more so than ever before. Companies are putting their personality out there.
Yeah.
And depending on what your particular organization is interested in doing, some of the activity that you might be publishing out there to the world might seem okay to you, but it does not align with the values that your company espouses. So you need to make sure that your behavior that you share with the rest of the world will not be in conflict with that.
So it's kind of like that personal branding has to match whatever company you're representing as well.
That's absolutely what it is. So some companies have a morality clause, making sure that their representatives are representing well, not putting out into the world something that is contrary to what they want to put out into the world. And again, if you are applying for a company even, you need to know what that is. There have been situations where I had candidates on the table, resume looked fine. I looked at their public social media and it was not aligned with the values that we were trying to push as a company.
Wow.
They didn't end up getting those positions.
And it's such an important thing for us to consider social media these days, because it's really out there for anyone to see. That's what's kind of scary about social media, actually, is that there's really, I mean, of course, there are ways to control who can view your profiles or certain things. But for the most part, once you put something on social media, it's on the internet forever.
General rule, private is not private.
And what do you mean by that exactly?
You might say, I only want this post to be shown to my friends, to my loved ones, people that I select. And yet any one of those people, as much as you trust them, are able to take that and share it elsewhere.
That is true. Yeah, so I think that's very valuable for all of us to consider moving forward. The impact that our posts and our social media usage can have for our future selves. I like it. What do you think, Tracy? Or do you want to read some comments from those in the chat as well?
Yes, I'd like to read something from our topic discussion. But first, we can see that INC Media Live is watching.
Hi, INC
just like
Media.
we were there yesterday. And they're here today too. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes.
Terralyn says, I like to communicate with my friends and document memories with my loved ones.
Nice. Also from KP Burling, I would assume that's Sister Cat.
It is.
She says ANC, which is to keep in touch and for entertainment, plus information and research for work. #NSD.
Broger says, see and other. I use it to stay informed. #Vista.
Yes.
Do you want to move on to the next question, Taylor?
Yes, Brother Brian, I'm slowly starting to wrap up our discussion with you. How can I know if any posts from friends or ads from companies are trustworthy on social media?
There are a few different ways. So if you see a link typically within your browser on social media, with most browsers, you can hover over that link. So you're not necessarily going to click on it, but you're going to put your cursor over it. And then a lot of times you'll see either on the bottom of your browser or even right where your cursor is, you'll see where that link will actually take you. So you can see if, say, your destination is a major department store, that major department store, the name should be within that link that it's going to take you to.
Right.
If it's looking like some weird string of numbers and letters, do not click that link. It's bringing you somewhere else that you don't want to be. So there are a few different, and then the bad actors out in the space, they're getting more sophisticated. They're trying to find ways around that and be a little bit more clever about it. So it is on us. It is a bit of our responsibility to be aware of how we can protect ourselves from that sort of thing. And there's a lot of resources online that you can look up to help you with those tips and tricks to help you navigate.
Well, I'm sure a lot of us will be looking up some of those resources after our show today, especially after everything you've mentioned. So thank you, Brother Brian, for your time. And before we let you go, would you like to give any shout outs?
Absolutely need to give a shout out to my wonderful, my beautiful wife who supports us in everything we do. In fact, even comments on our radio shows.
Yes. Thank you so much. Let's give it up for Brother Brian. Right on. Okay. So that was a lot of information, actually, in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
Maybe we should get some thoughts from the live chat.
Yes, we'd love to get your thoughts for our viewers who are in the live chat. Tell us what you thought about the discussion and share your feedback with us. We'd love to know what you think and if we could present topics like this again in the future. Do we have another special guest, Taylor?
We do, as we sort of alluded to earlier in our show. We have another in-studio guest to talk to us more about why responsible social media usage is so important. So please join me in welcoming Brother Christian de Dios.
Hi, Sister Tracy. Hi, Sister Taylor. And
Hello.
thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Thanks for INC Media joining us and all our brethren all over the world and our brethren here in SDZ.
Rise
up.
Nice.
We're all in that habit now.
Right. So
All
I believe
right.
there's a question as well as a follow-up to what we were asking Brother Brian.
Yes, we do have a question for you, Brother Christian, and that is, how can we use social media responsibly?
Right. Well, that's a big one. So that's
Yeah.
it's a big question, but also there's another question that was asked as well, actually connected to that. And what was mentioned earlier is, what if like you have a grievance or a misunderstanding with like a coworker? You know that happens, or someone at school,
Yeah.
or even a family member. Social media, like Brother Brian mentioned, it's everywhere now. It's not necessarily considered private, even if one thinks it would be. And for example, if one is going to apply for a job or apply for a school, a lot of times their life is already out there as well. So someone want to post something that they regret as
Right.
well. So in order to help us with some of those questions, actually, we can go back just a few months to our CFO monthly meetings. We had one for the Buklod, the married members of Church of Christ who are baptized. And that was last November. And in the whole month of September as well, there was topics for the Christian family organizations. So the youth of the church, those who are younger but not yet married, or 18 and above, that's a Kadiwa. And then there's for the married members. And there was a topic that can help all the families. Now, for those who are watching, we know, where does the teaching of being responsible start? Of course, we have the guidance to the church administration, but in the homes, it starts with the parents,
Yeah.
right? The parents are the one that teaches the kids how to be responsible. So when it comes to responsible use of social media, like the question that was asked, we actually go to some of the what was presented in the November monthly meeting. And number one, it says, watch over children's online activity. Back then when computers started to become common in the household, then what parents would do is they would make sure that the computer is also in the line of sight of the parents. And it's not to spy on the kids, but just to make sure that they're safe. And then the kids know that the parents are there as well. They develop that trust for one another. And then the kids won't be afraid to hide from their parents as well. Things that they experience in their life. They don't just, even, for example, when we were younger, for example, if we're going to cross the street, our parents would guide us, right? They hold our hand. They say, don't go by yourself. They don't want us just to go anywhere, right?
Right.
So same thing with online as well. So another thing that was reminded is remind the children that misuse of the internet and social media may expose them to several dangers. Now, these days, the dangers is not just the physical dangers surrounding us, right? You could be physically safe, but mentally in danger, and especially spiritually in danger as well. That's why the parents need to know observe the children in whatever situation. So, for example, if the parents, maybe for when we were in the school, the parents say, don't take candy from a stranger,
Strangers,
right?
Don't get into this unmarked white van.
Exactly, right? Don't get into a car just because someone's offering candy.
Right.
It's like, don't just go anywhere. So that's the physical dangers they want their children to avoid. There are those dangers online as well. Maybe it's not the physical danger, but the danger to different ideas or different ways of thinking that can harm the children, or even those who take advantage of people, whether it be through scams or through the vulnerability of kids, even through video games. So why not protect them from that as well? Now, another thing that can help then for the parents is to regulate families' online activities. There's a a lot of tools now that can use, where you can make sure that the kid doesn't use a certain application too long, or it limits their screen time, or just like, for all of us, when you say, don't watch too much TV, that can also be regulated with their use of social media as well. Now, the biggest thing then as well for the parents is to remind the kids or their family the priority as true Christians, that one can find true happiness and a lasting happiness, a complete happiness, by following God's teachings and not just trying to get the approval of their peers online. That's a kind of maybe a little bit of joy, but it doesn't last, right? Because everything on the internet just keeps moving. So that's very important, because the Bible does teach that the parents, they really got to guide their kids constantly and regularly. Those are for the parents. Now, for social media, responsibly for the Kadiwa, which is what's the Kadiwa again?
The organization inside the church for those who are baptized, 18 and above, and unmarried.
Okay, all right, thank you. I was just testing because I better know that too. So
I know what the acronym is.
what do you want to say the acronym?
Kabataang may diwang wagas.
Right.
Okay. I'm
Perfect.
glad
Youth with noble intent.
Yes, perfect,
Okay.
perfect.
I'm glad you did that, because I couldn't.
Okay, awesome, thanks. So for the September monthly meeting for the Kadiwa, or the baptized members 18 and above, not yet married, there was even the do's and don'ts. So now this can help us with posting online when it comes to your personal life as well. So it reminded us that spiritual maturity is reflected on our stance. When, for example, what we post, does it give glory to God, right? Or is it just for our own, to get approval of others? And so that's why we don't want to share anything that would malign the church, or anything that would go against our faith or our teachings, or, for example, posts about social injustice. Because if you notice, when it comes to those kinds of posts, there's a division, right? People are fighting each other. We don't want to cause division in the church with one another, or any unbiblical posts. For example, we know that there's certain holidays that people are celebrating coming up, but they're not based on the Bible. So to not support anything like that. Also, when it comes to a lot of posts, is they in a way would want to show themselves to gain more favor or approval or likes from others in, for example, the way that they dress. We know as members of the Church of Christ, the way that we dress is we want to give glory to God. We want to be found pleasing to God, and not to impress others around us, right? So same thing would be for social media as well. Now, one of the nice things that was in the Kadiwa monthly meeting, and there's a lot of Kadiwas that are here, but one of the things that was mentioned is there's certain situations when it comes to when you see a post or someone thinking about it. So, for example, some of the examples that were given was so one that wants to post is thinking in their minds. So the example that was given here is, I'm going through a tough time right now. I'll create a post asking for prayers or words or encouragement would be greatly appreciated. And usually someone might say, hey, okay, like what happened, right? But on the social media for everyone to see. Now, what would be a possibly better way of approaching it? Well, the example that was given was, I'll speak privately to our brother or sister, and let's remind them to have their prayers, to do that first, to trust in God, and then to find happiness that way. And God will guide them to that. Because the worry is that what if they post something sensitive that at that time, because they are vulnerable, they want to, maybe because they trust you, or they reach out to them, they want to open up their hearts and talk about everything on there. And then a lot of times, what others do is they regret it, what they do with the post. They delete it.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes when you delete it, it's already there. Someone could have saved that already. So one should be careful with that. Another example would say, someone who's grieving because they lost a loved one, right? And because of that, they forget, and then they put on there that it's like as if they're speaking to the loved one who passed away, and then another one would want to support and say the same thing. But inside the Church of Christ, what we were taught was when one has passed away, they're already gone. We do not speak to those who have already passed away. So the proper thing would be to reach out to them privately, right? Offer our condolences, and then just give them that support as well. Another thing that others might do, like it was a question was asked, well, what if like, at work, right? Like, maybe they have a little bit of negative feelings towards the one who's leading them, their boss or their manager or coworker. And, one of the nice things is in our Christian Youth Summit, one of the things that was mentioned in the video was it was a funny example, but you thought about, is that you never do something in real life that you would do online, right?
It was the commercial.
Right. For example, you're not going to say, I hate my boss, like in front of him, right? Or with your coworkers in the middle of the office. You would do that in real life. When you do that online, your boss can see that. Right? Your coworkers can see that. And your fellow members of the Church of Christ can see that as well. So it wouldn't be appropriate to put it out there in public. So one thing that one can do is if there's someone that expressing that hard time that they're having, what we can do is speak to that brother or sister privately and lend them an ear, listen, hear them out. And of course, then one can give them the proper advice how to approach it. For example, we do have those who help in the Christian Employees Association, those who help those who are in the work field. We have our Bukod officers who are in different professions as well, like it was mentioned, Brother Brian, who maybe have experiences already how to deal with situations like those. Because once you put it out there, it's out there forever. Right. And then another thing we have to remember as well is we reflect the church. Because we have to remember, beloved brethren, we're parts of the body of Christ. The Lord Jesus Christ is the head. We also represent the church and the Lord Jesus Christ. So let's remember that as well. Now, last but not least, there was also some materials for the binhi.
Yes.
And those are ages 12 to 17. Those are crucial years in the life of a person.
Yes.
So one of the things that was mentioned as well is we avoid engaging in online conversations that can lead to romantic interest. Now, for the binhi, or parents are thinking, well, why? What's wrong with that? Scientifically, there are studies when it comes to what they've made when it comes to for example, courting someone or getting engaged romantically with someone. That's a huge deal, right? That's no small thing.
Of course.
Just like you're not going to have a kid or someone who's inexperienced operate complicated and heavy machinery without the proper training, right? That's going to be a disaster. So something as deep and as important as love and finding a companion and then settling down with someone for the rest of your life, that's a huge deal. It's a big decision. The binhi, psychologically and even physiologically, scientifically proven, are not fully developed yet.
Right.
So the Bible teaches to focus on their studies. Right. So online, to avoid that kind of conversation that could lead to romantic interests. Or, for example, setting boundaries, being appropriate, being respectful. And we post not for people's appreciation, but for God's glory. And to be careful because, a lot of online, they want to find friends as well. Right? Finding true friends is rare and a great blessing. So don't just look for it anywhere, my beloved brethren. And last but not least, when it comes to all of these, the Bible does teach. It was in the Kadil monthly meeting. It mentioned to not conform or just do anything without even thinking. So that's the big thing. One asks, what do I do if I post something and I made a mistake? Well, instead of getting there, just think before you post anything, right? Yes. If you got to think about it and you got to think hard about it, maybe it's better not to. That's a safer thing to do. And you can always reach out to your fellow ministers, ministerial workers, and your church officers.
Yes.
And they'll always help us.
Very
so
true.
Hopefully that gives a little bit of guidance, but attend the monthly meetings. You always have topics like those to help all the members of the church in topics like that.
Yes, very true. Thank you so much for the Christian. We
Of course,
appreciate your
of course.
time. Let's give him a round of applause, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
All All right. We are wrapping up our show in a little bit, but before we do so, we want to read some comments from Brother Matthew Capistrano. He says the executive or unhealthy. Oh,
Excessive.
sorry. Thank you. Excessive or unhealthy social media use can contribute to anxiety, depression, and other mental issues.
He also says the internet is like toothpaste. Once you squeeze it out there, you can't put it back in the tube.
Interesting. Yeah. Just like you can't put toothpaste. Yeah, you like what you just said. And also he says, happy 62nd anniversary to the booklet organization. Very nice.
Sister Precious Capistrano says the internet is not your diary. It's called a diary for a reason. It's supposed to be for your personal use.
Yeah.
We always tell our kids, even online, you represent being a member of the Church of Christ, just like what Brother Christian said earlier.
Very nice. All right. We are going to jump right into our next segment on the horizon because Christian here in San Diego County, California, we have CFO activities going on
All the time!
Yeah. So last weekend on November 30th, we had our CFO planning conference at the local congregation of National City.
And here are the photos from that event. A lot of
Yes.
familiar faces that you may have seen here.
On our show today. Yeah. And also anything else? Oh, no, that's
that's
about it. That's what's on the horizon for the San Diego Satellite Studio. And really quickly, Tracy.
Taylor, what is it? What's happening? Why are we getting hyped?
Get hype. We have our hashtag challenge winners. In no particular order, here are the top 3 winners from last week's hashtag challenge. We have the local congregations of El Cajon.
And then we have the local congregation of North San Diego, NSD.
And
Vista.
Congratulations to our top 3. We will see who the winners are next week. But that just about does it for us here on INCRadio San Diego for today's show. Thank you so much for joining us. And before we go, we would like to greet and thank some special individuals who help make INCRadio San Diego possible. Brother Eduardo Villamanalo, our executive minister, Brother Angelo Arano Manalo, our SEPSI president, Brother Wally, our INC radio station manager, and Brother Matt Capistrano, our supervising minister in SDC.
We'd also like to thank Brother Herman Bendicio, our assistant supervising minister, Brother Christian De Dios, who is also here today, our CFO overseer, and Brother Christian Ko, who is our district multimedia advisor.
Up next is INC Radio Sacramento, so stay tuned for their show. Until next time here on INC Radio San Diego, goodbye everyone. Stay safe. We will catch you on the next
Wave! Oh,
Happy 62nd anniversary, Book Lord. Happy birthday, Mom.
Happy birthday.
We'll see a social media post about that later.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
So many comments. I can see all the comments and all the hashtags. Keep them rolling. Where are we eating?
This is INC Radio, DCEM 954, the voice of truth, the official radio station of the Church of Christ or Iglesianicristo.
to all of our viewers and listeners out there. You are